Hey, what's up, YouTube? Taking a nightly walk in my hood. This is my hood, man. It's a pretty hood. Nice trees, lots of nice things around here. Anyway, what do I got on my mind for you tonight? I got lots of stuff on my mind for you tonight, but I want to talk about the voice that we hear inside our head. Not the crazy voice, your spiritual voice. Tonight, I was getting a massage, and might sound kind of trippy, but lately I've been tapping into a God source. Now, I've never been a very religious person, and I don't think God is a religion. I think God is a spirit, a soul. God is within you. I mean, there's so many different versions of what God is to so many different people. You know, I'm living in the Bible Belt right now, so I'm sure their version's probably a little different than my version. But I've had some experiences lately that have just been really different. I've go on this hike in a place called Whitewater Creek. It's where I did my last video. If you haven't seen that last video, check that last video out. It's like 2 videos again. It's the one before Ken and I talk about the magical powers of C60. It's interesting. I went to this healer years ago, a really amazing healer. His name is Peter Evans. He's in Los Angeles, and if you live in Los Angeles and stuff, he's definitely worth seeing. He's just one of the most powerful spiritual people I've ever been with. And I did a session with Peter, and Peter said to me, he says, listen, he says, you haven't found God. And I listened to him, and I said, what are you talking about? He says, look, he says, you get up on stage and you can go command an audience and talk to thousands of people and have absolutely 0 things written down. I mean, I've done seminars, I've done weekend seminars, and I've had no notes. And I could just keep going, because what I'm doing is I'm tapping into the essence and the energy of all the people that are in the audience. I'm tapping into you. I'm tapping into who you are as a person. I'm feeling your energy. I'm feeling what you're all about. And I've done that my whole life. I've tapped into many different people. I've tapped into their energy. I've tapped into their stories. I've tapped into their life. I've tapped into a lot of different things. So he said to me, he says, you're not tapped into yourself in one of those ways, where, how are you tonight?
I'd like to take one of these.
Yeah. Yeah, he lives in a haunted house. He says, you're not tapped into your soul. So I started thinking to myself, right, and I started really going on this journey. Over the last 9 months, I've spent a lot of time by myself. Like, a lot of time by myself. Like, the majority of time by myself. When I'm not seeing my daughter, I don't really have any friends here. So I'm kind of just tapped into myself. And I've done a lot of deep meditations, and I've been really thinking about what people have said to me, and I realize that a lot of my life I've spent in my head. I'm really smart, so it's like I've blocked like the God energy going through me, going through my soul, going through my heart. I've lived up here, but I haven't lived, see that, you feel it right there? I haven't lived there. I'm not living in my heart. I'm not trusting my heart because I can't trust my heart. Now, when you say the word you can't, it means you're telling the universe you can't do it. I've not been able to trust my heart, and I can tell you why. I haven't trusted my heart because when I grew up, my mother was batshit fucking crazy. My brother died when I was 3 years old. He was 10 months old. My mom told me that God doesn't exist, because if God actually existed, God would have not taken a child. So my mom, and this is something I talked about in the last video that I did, well, 2 videos ago, that we spend so much of our lives and so much time in our life being programmed by other people when we're young. So our subconscious mind has a continual loop, this loop that our subconscious mind continually plays out over and over again, which is somebody else's grief, somebody else's story, somebody else's heartache, somebody else's shit. So when you live your life, you're living your life basically on programming, literally just a program that is not yours. So I never believed in God, but I never knew why I didn't believe in God. Like people would talk about God and I'd be like, oh, sure, fuck, what are you talking about? God doesn't exist. There's no white man up in the sky, with a long beard. And then people say, well, God's within you. There's God powering you. There's God within you. That's a cute house. See that house? I like that house a lot. Think their fucking TV's big enough or what? God is within you. And I'd be like, I never embraced it. Never understood it. I read Conversations with God, and I was just like, oh man, I'm not really buying that. But now I've had my own conversations with God. I've had my own experiences with God. I've had my own experiences with my soul. When I was on a hike, that hike I was telling you about in Whitewater Creek, I had literally my mom talk to me. My mom's been dead for 5 years. She talked to me on a really spiritual side. I tapped into her soul. I tapped into her essence. And it was funny. I started talking out loud and started having a conversation, and I just went with it. And I think that's something in life that if we had to talk about God, spirit, soul, whatever it might be, that's really tapping into your heart, man. That's like tapping in your heart and really tapping into your instincts and tapping into who you are as a person. Allowing yourself to get out of your head, closing your eyes like I am right now. Like literally, if you close your eyes and walk, you have full faith and full trust. Imagine that, right? So here I am, I'm just walking through the hood, and you got to have full faith and full trust, right? If you close your eyes, it's full faith and full trust to whatever choices you're making in that moment. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's your tapping into soul, tapping into your God, your own godlike powers, because there is a higher place. There's a higher essence to who we are as human beings, as souls, So I never really embraced it. And that day on that hike, I just went with it. I wasn't thinking, I was feeling. I was answering, I was hearing. I was hearing my mother's voice. I was hearing what she was saying. I was listening to it really carefully. And we had a full-blown conversation. And then she said to me, she goes, well, God's here. He wants to talk to you. I'm thinking that's really funny because my mother was the last person who believed in God. So I was like, all right, let me roll with this. And we had a conversation. And that conversation was really interesting. It was about tapping into my own heart because I have lived my life in my head, and I've also been, because I've been a coach and I've had the ability to see through people, I've also been very critical, not of people themselves, but I'd been critical of like people in relationships because I was critical of my mom. Mom was really critical, so she was critical towards me. So in my personal relationships, I was always like, what it was? I was seeing people for what I wanted them to be and not really confronting them for who they truly are. And then I started because because I never wanted to see my mother for who she was. My mother was, she was beautiful on the outside, but she was a schizophrenic on the inside. She was crazy. She had so many different personalities, and there were so many different things. So my defense mechanism as a boy was to always see my mom for what she wasn't. Because if I really saw my mom an out of control person, my whole life would have been totally different. I had to see her a certain way because it kept me sane. My father, who didn't show any love or any affection or anything else, I had to see my father it's like I had to see my father as something different because seeing them for who they are was too painful. So I think a lot of the time in my life, I haven't seen people for who they are. I've only seen them for what I think they can be, because that's part of the reason why I've been very successful at coaching people, is because I see you. See, I see the superhero version of you. When I go and I work with you and I work with somebody, I put my heart and soul in it, And I see the superhero version of you. I believe everybody's got a superhero version of themselves. So I see that in you. And the thing is, I saw it in people that I was with in relationships. I would see the superhero version of them. But in reality, I needed to open up my eyes and see who they were, because who they were was magical. Who they were was spectacular. Who they were didn't work with me. And because I would see the superhero version of them, who they truly are, really was just a great fucking person. So tonight, when I'm getting a massage, I'm laying there, and the woman massaging me was awesome. I mean, I was just laying there going, holy shit, this is like a top 20 massage, and I've been getting massages for 25 years. This was in the top 20. I had a conversation again with spirit. Let's call it spirit. You know, I'm more comfortable with that right now because I'm not quite sure why this spirit, well, I know why this spirit is finally, you know, opening up. How are you tonight? That dog is ready for action, huh? So, hey, how you doing? So, let's continue this conversation. God, spirit, whatever it might be. It happened. Like, here's this woman, and I'm feeling her energy, and she's really giving me a great massage. And I'm just kind of feeling. And once again, God, spirit came to me. Literally the entire massage. The entire massage was a conversation. Just like, it was a conversation with God, with spirit. It was opening up my eyes in so many different levels. You know, and that was part of it. The whole time was open up your eyes, see your heart. I mean, I don't really remember all the words, because when you're in this kind of spiritual zone and you're in this connection to a higher source, you're not going to really remember everything. You're not sitting there like you're in the back of a class taking notes and you got to take a quiz, right? I like that. See that? I like that T1R design with the black rims. I almost bought one of those. Anyway, it's really nice and white. Good looking car. Anyway, when you're in that zone and you're connecting to source, it happens so fast. It's like, it's rapid fire. It's like all of a sudden you're getting opened up in a way that you've never been opened up before. And you're having a conversation, and you know you're conscious of having a conversation, but the conversation is more of like somebody actually sees you, because you're actually starting to see yourself. So source, God, spirit, whatever it is actually challenging you to open up your eyes and see yourself for who you truly are. And that conversation, it's like I was laying there, and this woman's massaging me, and like I said, it was a great massage. And I was just like, man, I want to remember all this. But you're not going to remember all that, but you're just going to remember the essence of it. And the essence was because when you're communicating with a higher power and a higher source, the conversation is fast. I mean, it's just going, because it's not like thoughts inside your head. It's more like feelings that you have, and then words are expressed on that feeling. Like you have this conversation, and you want to write it all down, and you want to remember it. But in reality, what it's doing is it's hitting you right here. Pounding my chest, okay? There we go, pound that. So it's hitting you on a higher level. It's getting you to open yourself up on a higher level. It's getting you to see some of the things. And I know part of the conversation was somebody I dated once, and man, I was so like, you know, she was so amazing on so many different levels, but I just wasn't ready to accept the gift of who she was. It's like there's so many things that comes to your mind. But the thing is what the big message was when I was there and I was connecting in that moment, and I had my headphones on during the massage, right? Remember Warren from Something About Mary? So I had like my Warren headphones on, like these big, thick, bulky headphones. And I just connected, you know, like my eyes were open to what I am, the power that I am, the person that I am, the soul that I am. But then my eyes started opening up to like my patterns. My eyes were like, it was like I was guided into like the things that I was doing, guided into, you know, where I was at or what I was doing or how I was relating to the world, how I was relating to myself. And it was just like this surreal experience. And this is the third experience I've had in the last 2 weeks of this connection to spirit and soul and source. And what I'm really getting out of it is, I mean, this is some vulnerable shit, man. But what I'm really getting out of it is it's like time for me to, and this is something all of you can think about, right? This is not just, you know, I'm expressing myself now so you can hopefully relate to yourself in your life. But it's time for all of us as a collective soul to get out from behind the masks that we've been living in. You see, we were masked up. Coronavirus masked us up, made us wear masks, made us like cover our expressions, cover our souls. That's what it did. It made us cover our souls. So what we need to do is we need to unmask ourselves. And when we unmask ourselves, it means we're out of our head. You see, what Corona did was Corona and COVID put us all in our collective mindset, which was our head. We're already a very heady culture. You know, we're already a heady world because we're basically having messages from other people constantly pounded into our brain. You get on YouTube, and thank you for watching, by the way. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up on this thing because I really want the YouTube algorithm to know that I'm back and alive again. We're constantly getting inundated with messages. I mean, here, just alone here on this one, look at that car. That car's full of messages. All of it is. We got Black Lives That Matter. Stacey Abrams, governor. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. All lives fucking matter. Your life matters. Doesn't matter what skin color you are at all. Your life matters. My life matters. And that's what I think what happened is that we got masked up. We had this incredible fear campaign thrown our direction, which put us collectively deeper into our heads than we've ever been before. And that's a big thing. When we're deeper in our heads, when we're so deep into our heads, we're not living our life in our hearts. We're not seeing what our hearts want. We're not seeing what our souls are really craving. We're not experiencing. So many people are just experiencing life in their heads. They're not really saying what they feel. They're not doing what they feel. They're not acting upon what they feel. They're being dictated by other people. If they go out on a date, they must have said the wrong thing. If this person doesn't call them back, there must be a right thing to say. And a lot of people are like programmed that way because the mixed messages, the messages of so many fake gurus out there, so many people out there that have given you the structure that you think you need to live your life. But in reality, the beauty of life and the beauty of connecting to source and to God and to spirit is that there is no goddamn fucking structure. I like how I said goddamn on that, huh? There's no structure. There's just living and feeling and breathing and experiencing. That's what life is about. Life is about living and feeling and experiencing and letting yourself out. As I say it in trading, push the button. The only way you're going to be a successful trader is if you memorize patterns in psychology of what other people think about in those patterns, and those repeating patterns, and the probability that people are thinking in the patterns. It's like people in trading are always in their head. You know, they're constantly thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. Is this pattern going to play out? Is this pattern going to play out? Is this a winning pattern? Is this the same pattern? Is this the ABC pattern? Is this the wave that I need to see? Is this the retrace that I need to see? And if enough people consciously think the same way, then what happens is, especially in trading, is that it's a predestined. It's like what people think about, they manifest in it. So if you look at a chart is basically a manifestation of other people's thoughts and other people's feelings about what a stock is doing in that moment. That's all it is. So collectively, as human beings, we as a whole, whether it's you're going to trading stocks or just walking around and experiencing life, we are programmed to do the same stuff over and over again. We have been programmed to live in our heads instead of just being so self-expressed and to truly allow ourselves to just be free souls and free spirits. We haven't done that. We basically spend so much time just thinking and thinking and thinking. And that's the whole point of getting attached, or connected is a better word, to spirit. Because spirit's going to allow you to connect to yourself. Spirit's going to allow you to connect to the beauty, to the power of who you are, the power of what you are as a human being. It's going to allow you to be fully self-expressed like you've never been before in your entire life. It gets rid of the loop in your head and gets you to feel the heart, because when you feel your heart, you can actually heal your body. You can heal all the things you need to heal by connecting to a much higher source. It's out there for you. Whether you want to do it through prayer or meditation or deep breathing exercises, you've got to clear and unblock the energy that's been blocking you. Nothing in your life is going to change. There's nothing that you're going to read that's going to change your life. There's no video that's going to change your life. There's no psychologist or coach that's going to change your life. The only person that can make changes is you. See, you need to visualize what you want in life. You need to lay down and you need to visualize what you want your life to be. You need to visualize it. You need to put some music on. And you need to visualize exactly how you want your life to be. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your house to look like? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your career to look like? If you're struggling in your career, what are the struggles that you're struggling? And what does it look like to work through that struggle? If you're struggling with the opposite sex, because a lot of you probably still attached to this channel are seeking that advice. If you're having trouble with the opposite sex, you need to visualize what it feels like to communicate and be with the opposite sex on a level where you have no barriers, where you're actually truly being yourself. Because the old term is, how do you do well with the opposite sex? Well, you got to be yourself. You can't be yourself when you don't give yourself permission to be yourself, because you don't think yourself is good enough. But yourself is amazing. Yourself is powerful. Yourself is beautiful. It's all you have is yourself. So when you connect to your heart, when you connect to your soul, when you connect to who you are, you're going to let yourself out. It's like you give your permission to live and to breathe and to flourish and to experience life. It's called living in your heart and not in your head. When you live in your heart, that's when you're connecting to spirit. Because spirit doesn't live in their head. Spirit just communicates from the heart. Spirit communicates from the soul, man. Spirit doesn't allow. You all have spirit inside you. Every one of you has amazing spirit inside you, an amazing soul in you. But you have to not live inside your head. Because inside your head, that's the way disease is done. The more we think and the more we ruminate on something, the more it tends to happen. So visualize. Visualize what you want in life. Visualize how you want your life to look. Visualize your health. Visualize your financial. Visualize your romantic life. Visualize everything. Visualize the money that you're going to make. Visualize the career change that you're going to do. Visualize how you're going to do that career. Visualize it all. Spend time, listen to music, and visualize everything you want. That is going to change your life forever. That's going to give you the opportunity to change your life. Visualize everything you want. Lay there and get lost in visualization. Get lost in it. Get lost in visualization. Visualize it all. Visualize from how you want it to be, work-wise, romance-wise. Visualize it. Then you're going to be living a far more beautiful existence because you're going to be connected to Source, to your soul, to your heart, to everything. It's going to be really amazing. The change in your life is going to be really incredibly amazing. Every time you get a thought of what the past was, that thought is going to recreate that future with the same past stuff you had before. Visualize it, my friends. Visualize everything that you want. Visualize who you want to be. Visualize how you want to be. Visualize everything that you are. Visualize it. Use your eyes. Let your eyes communicate to your heart. Let your eyes communicate to your soul. Visualize everything. Lay down tonight and close your eyes and put on some really good music and visualize everything. Visualize the new version of you, because the only way change is going to happen is if you visualize it and believe it first. If you visualize and believe it first, then change is going to happen. It's that powerful and that strong. Your mind, your brain will communicate with your heart like never before. Visualize it. Let it out. Let out the true version of who you are. Let out your superhero inside. Let out that person that you have been craving. Oops, sorry about that. That you have been craving and wanting to be. Let that person out. If you let them out, and you let them out to play, and you let them out to be blossomed, and you allow them to show you who you truly are, then guess what? You will not be in the dark anymore. All right, now that's better, isn't it? You'll actually be you. You'll actually be who you want to be. All right. Do me a favor, spread the love, man. There's a lot more of this coming your direction. Spread the love. Hit the like button, subscribe. You know, all that shit that people tell you to do all the time. Well, I got to do it. Because this is free. I'm going to keep doing it for free. But I would like a lot more people listening to this, because I want to collectively get people to open up their eyes and wake up. See ya.